This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, please allow me a couple of more minutes. I just came actually, there was a heavy rain in Hyderabad, so I got stuck in traffic. So I just came, just give me a couple of. Very good morning, all. Guys, can you please confirm if you're able to hear me for the very last time? Then we can go ahead and get started with the session.
Yes, sir.
Great, thanks for the confirmation. So let's begin the class, guys. So I welcome you all for the day one session of AWS Devops, right? So I really apologize for the initial delays. So it was heavily raining and I got stuck in the traffic. So for setting up, it took some time, right? So let's go ahead and begin the class without any further delay. So as part of the first class, we are going to start about the cloud concepts. Why? Because you guys might have attended the demo session. So if you remember, I said something that we cannot directly learn DevOps, correct? So we'll be going and getting starting with the basic concepts from cloud computing. Then we'll be moving on to some AWS concepts. Then we'll be moving into DevOps concepts. Okay, this is how our flow would be going, right? So that's how we can learn one by one step, right? So let's begin with the cloud concepts. So before that, let's discuss about the role of a cloud administrator. Why? Because in the initial stage, we'll be covering certain basic concepts. So it is very much important for us to understand what is the role of a cloud admin or AWS admin in the company, right? Ultimately, we are learning DevOps, but along with DevOps concept, which we'll be learning about cloud concepts as well, right? So how it would be is, so people will basically opt for DevOps course, but ultimately, once we complete the course, few people might feel that it might be heavy for them, right? Why? Because DevOps is basically an advanced level. So if you have focus, you will definitely learn DevOps for sure. But certain people will always think that, okay, why don't I try for Azure admin or AWS or cloud admin roles or GCP admin roles as well, while they learn the DevOps from different cloud vendors, correct? So this course will help you to get into certain AWS cloud admin roles as well. So it's up to you whether you wanted to decide to go to AWS cloud admin or if you wanted to go to AWS DevOps engineer, everything is fine, right? So first let's understand, if you take a company as an example, and let's assume one of the individual might have joined in that particular company as a AWS cloud administrator, or simply cloud admin or AWS admin, whatever that we call it as, right? So what exactly they go and do in the ground level in the project whenever we get a project from the customer? So let's understand from a cloud admin perspective. So if I have to put it a simpler way, the cloud administrator roles and responsibilities would be taking care of the customer's infrastructure in the cloud and maintaining it. It's nothing but maintaining and managing customers' infrastructure in the cloud. So what is the cloud that we are going to learn here? AWS cloud from Amazon Web Services, right? So let's see what is, especially from the definition perspective, right? So if you can see on the screen, so cloud admins basically manage the cloud services that span across storage, network, compute, analytics, databases, artificial intelligence, machine learning, cognitive services, a lot of other services that we have. It's all about maintaining and managing for the customer in a project is nothing but your cloud admin role, right? So while we were monitoring all of the services, it is very much important for us to know what is the information technology lifecycle, IT lifecycle in a company, how things actually start, what are the things that we might have to manage and maintain, and how we can probably end up the things. So the end-to-end life cycle we have to learn about it, right? So we'll be teaching about the IT life cycle as well. There is no need to worry about it, right? Then, so since we work for the customer, obviously the cloud admin's role is to take up the requirement from the customer on daily basis, right? Obviously the requirements, whatever the customer is having, we have to take them and we have to basically understand whether the requirement is able to fit into the customer environment or whether we have to suggest or recommend any additional things apart from the requirement that we have got. Why we have to understand requirements? Why? Because not all the customers would be technically enough. There might be certain customers who might be non-technical. They might not be knowing anything about IT or AWS or cloud or DevOps. They might not be knowing anything about it, but they might be running a company and they might be running their business on traditional way of developing the software, and they wanted to move to cloud where they wanted to implement DevOps. So they might not be knowing whether they are technical or non-technical, but when we got a project from the customer, all of our jobs is nothing but understanding the requirement, providing suggestions, providing recommendations to the customer to make sure that we are implementing in the real time. And what we do in the real time, we implement it with a lot of best practices. We implement it with a lot of best practices. So ultimately, we have to satisfy the customer again. We have to value add to the customer. So that's where they might have given a project. So if you're not value adding to their infrastructure, to their environment, it is not a good job, I can say. That's where your cloud admin will be playing a very important role to make sure that they're understanding the requirement and they're implementing in real time to make sure that the quality and security of the infrastructure is intact. There is no compromise in the quality and security, right? So what exactly they will also do? They will maintain the performance of the infrastructure is good, and they can scale up, scale down their infrastructure whenever it is required. So what is scale up and scale down? Probably whenever I need more hardware, I can go ahead and request AWS, or I can automatically upgrade the infrastructure as well. So that is what I can go ahead and do with AWS with scaling concepts, right? So we can always provision, we can monitor the capacity using certain monitoring tools in the AWS to make sure that whenever the infrastructure is having any issues, we will be monitoring them and will be maintaining them at the end of the day, right? So we will also be communicating whatever the things that we might be doing from a cloud admin level to project manager to customer to stakeholders or to the internal team whenever it is required. So it is always important to update them at the ground level, right? Then what we will be using? Sorry, here it says Azure, but it is basically AWS portal. So I'm using the same common slides that I have. So who cloud admins will basically using the AWS console. They will be using AWS console. They will be using Azure, AWS CLI. They would be having cloud formation. There are certain monitoring tools. Lot of tools from AWS. We will be using them to manage customer infrastructure, right? So we'll be looking into it real time as well whenever we go with the practicals. So ultimately, the successful cloud admin role should have some experience on operating systems. It may be Windows, Windows Server, Linux, right? And maintaining and managing them, probably taking care of the updates of the operating system. It may be Windows Server updates, Linux updates, when they have to patch up the things, when they have to upgrade it with firmware upgrades or patches, they should be knowing about it. Also, on the network side, storage side, compute side, analytics or databases, they should be also aware of it, right? So these are all the things that the cloud admin would be going and doing in a project in a company. So any questions before we move on? Any questions before we move on?
No, sir.
Okay, I will take it as a
Excuse me, sir.
link. Probably I can provide you with the meeting link. Can you come here? Yeah. So I'll take it as a no base. Let's move on. So we will try to understand the evolution of cloud computing now. Why? Because this is necessary to know the history, right? So which is the current big thing that is happening in the market? That's where most of the customers, most of the businesses are migrating from their on-premises infrastructure. The infrastructure which is present at their office. So they might be feeling that maintaining and managing is a headache. That's where they might be migrating into cloud now. So before we understand about cloud, the infrastructure, the servers, hardware, let's understand about the evolution as to how we might have come to cloud computing. So what made us to evolve in the technology and how we have been reached out to the situation. So in earlier days, how it should be, we have a customer or we have an organization or we have a company, right? So they used to purchase the server upfront. So if the server is having a configuration of, let's assume 32 gigabytes and let's assume some 15 CPUs, and the server might be having 1 terabyte of data storage, right? So we would be purchasing it upfront. We would be purchasing it upfront means if it costs 3 lakhs, if it costs 4 lakhs, if it costs 1 crores of rupees also, we have to go ahead and give the money then and there itself, and we have to pay it. So once we buy the physical hardware, what the companies used to do, they used to deploy web applications. A website they used to deploy for their company, right? Or why they used to deploy a website? Obviously, they have a company, they have to run the business. Probably their customers might be using their website, like Flipkart.com. So Flipkart.com might have been hosted in cloud now, but earlier it was in on-premises, right? So Flipkart might have purchased a server hardware configuration from a vendor like. So who will supply the server hardware configuration? Can anybody let me know? Where do you buy the server hardware configuration? What are the companies that will be providing server hardware configuration? Can anybody let me know? Yes, IBM, HP. You have Hitachi, you have Western Digital, you have Seagate. Lot of companies that will provide hardware. So the companies usually put an order with the respective company, and they used to deliver the hardware. Once the hardware has been come on, we will be deploying our websites, our web applications, databases, and we used to use for our business, right? So what is this? This is a dedicated server. This is a dedicated server, right? Which is very expensive. Why? Because we have to buy that with upfront cost. Then it is highly maintainable. So you have to spend a lot of time. Probably you might have to hire IT support engineers to maintain and manage this server hardware. Why? Because they have to take care of upgrading the server, doing the patches, and updating with firmware upgrades. A lot of things that we might have to do it. And this is highly secured. Why? Because it's only one of the customer who would be using, and they would be having a lot of security implemented with a lot of firewalls. So this is making the job super easy for the single organization. But if they have to expand server hardware configuration, again they have to buy upfront to expand this. So that is a tedious task. That's where we have come into the next stage of evolution. So again, here also we have the same single customer buying the same server hardware upfront, but this time we have come up with a virtualization software. So we have a software that has been evolved in the market, which is virtualization software, which we might call it as VMware or Hyper-V. So we install that particular software on top of this server. So that software, what it will do, it will split the server hardware configuration. So instead of creating one machine or one web application, you can create multiple web applications or machines. So that is the beauty that has been come in the second stage of cloud evolution, the virtualization evolution, if you have to talk about it, right? So what is this? This is a virtual private server. So this is a dedicated server that has been dedicated to single customer, right? Again, this has a lot of limitations. Only one customer can go ahead and use this server hardware. So in the next stage, what has happened? We have come up with a shared hosting. Can anybody let me know an example for shared hosting? In the market, we have some websites available for shared hosting. Can anybody let me know what is the example of a shared hosting? Yes, GoDaddy.com. So we can buy a domain, we can buy the hardware space, we can deploy the website using your WordPress websites, right? So for shared hosting, yes, what we can do, one of the company would be having a set of server hardware configuration in their company. So it's not only me or an individual, multiple organizations can go ahead and purchase this server hardware. I cannot use a word called purchase. I can take this server on rent. So I can pay it on monthly basis, right? So for the website, if I have to host it, I'll be going to GoDaddy and I'll be purchasing a plan and I'll be paying on monthly basis. So it might say 150 rupees for the basic web hosting plan. I'll be going and purchasing and I'll be paying on monthly basis. Whenever I don't need it, I can stop payment, right? But with the physical server hardware, what I have to do, I have to buy it in bulk at the initial stage with upfront cost. There is no discount. There is no EMI option. But with shared hosting that has been coming to picture, multiple companies can go ahead and take these servers or buy these servers on rent, and they can deploy web applications or SQL databases, whatever it is. So what is the advantage of using shared hosting? It is coming with very cheap. 150 rupees per month for website hosting is cheap comparative to putting 2 lakhs and buying the server hardware. Correct? So that's the reason why people are using the shared hosting to the most nowadays, right? But this is very limited. What if the respective GoDaddy company is having the server hardware which was completely utilized by all the customers? Do you think it can be encouraging other customers to go ahead and take the servers on rent or buy the servers? No, they might not be having the capacity. So they have to expand it again. They might be having limited server hardware or infrastructure, if you have to call it as. That's where even shared hosting has its limitations. That's the reason why we have come into cloud now. So certain companies like AWS has taken it on a risk basis in 2010s. They have come up with cloud computing concept called Amazon Web Services. So what they started doing it, they started building huge data centers. They started building huge data centers, right? Where they are collaborating with multiple hardware vendors like HP, Lenovo, your IBM, Hitachi, Western Digital, Seagate, and they are buying the server hardware and they're setting up in the data centers. So customers like us can buy or take an AWS account and we can go ahead and deploy the infrastructure remotely. That's why we're calling this as virtual environment. So if you move to cloud, you should not have to touch anything physically. The machine that you might be creating is in some other location. It is not necessary to be present in the place that you are there. So you can deploy in Mumbai, you can deploy in US data centers, you can deploy in Australia or Europe, Arab countries or Africa, wherever you want. You just open the AWS console using the internet in a browser. You just deploy an instance. It is super quick. Within a minute, you would be able to spin up a virtual machine, a remote machine, or an instance that we call it as. So how we will be looking into the labs anyways. Okay. But cloud hosting is having a lot of advantages. It is very cost effective. So you cannot even compare with on-premises cost. So it is super duper cheap, right? And it is super secure. So in 2010, the cloud has started this journey with AWS. Then Microsoft Azure has come into picture in 2014. Then you have Google Cloud Platform. Then you have Oracle Cloud. Then you have Alibaba Cloud, HP Cloud, IBM Cloud. Like this, a lot of cloud service providers who have been coming to the market. Why? Because everybody looks for sustainability. So how companies will get revenue? Obviously, they have to develop a product and they have to release it to the market. The public like us will be going and utilizing it, right? Then the public will pay for it. So that's how the companies will get the revenue and that's how the companies will get benefit out of it. So as such, cloud hosting is your AWS, Azure, or GCP, which are the top players in the market. Whatever that you want, you can go ahead and take up a subscription or create an account, and you are free to go ahead and deploy your resources, right? So with AWS that we are talking about, you can learn AWS and Devops free of cost, except certain services from Docker Kubernetes. You can learn everything free of cost. If you have a debit card or a credit card, you can go ahead and sign up for a free subscription or a free account, and we will be using those on daily basis for our practicals, right? So we'll be going with AWS account creation as well later, but this is what from cloud evolution perspective. So any questions, guys, before we move on to the concepts? Anybody has any question? Okay, I will take it as a no. Let's move further. So we will be learning the basic concepts for today. So we will see to what extent we'll be able to complete it. But I wanted to go ahead and start with cloud deployment models. I would be going and starting cloud deployment models. In that, we'll be talking about what is private cloud, what is public cloud, and what is hybrid cloud. Okay. Then we will be talking about which one we have to choose for our customers. Okay, which one is the best feasible method where we can go ahead and take it up. Then we will be talking about the benefits and considerations as to why customers are moving to cloud, what are the reasons behind it, what it can actually give to us. We'll be looking from the benefits and consideration perspective. Then I'll talk about the cloud services that we have. Probably the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. So what all these services, to which community it has been meant for, what they can go ahead and do it, we'll be looking into it, right? Then we'll talk about shared responsibility at the last, right? So this is the agenda for today. Let's move on. Let's learn about cloud models. So we'll try to define what is cloud computing first. We'll understand what is public, private, hybrid, and we'll compare between three of them. So let's move on understanding cloud computing, right? So cloud computing is nothing but delivering of the computing services over internet. So whatever the things that we can do using a physical laptop. Physical laptop, what I can do, I can touch, I can feel it, and I know what I can go ahead and do it. So if I have a Windows operating system in my laptop, probably I can install an operating system in the C drive, then I can make a D drive, I can save my data, I can install browsers, I can browse internet, YouTube, I can install certain applications, I can play games, I can save my photos, videos, everything I can do it, right? Even if you are a professional, if you are a developer, you can develop the code, you can even build a web application, right? If you're from database background, you can maintain and manage the database, SQL database or any other database that you call it out, right? So if you're a tester, you can use certain tools to test it. But where do you deploy the tools? Inside the laptop, correct? Whatever the things that you would be able to do in the local laptop, you can do it in a virtual machine. You can do in a virtual environment as well. So where do you create that virtual machine? In AWS cloud data centers, right? So we'll be going and doing an example, then we will be able to understand what exactly we can do it, right? So cloud computing is nothing but it's a delivering of computing services over the internet. What are those computing services? Probably your virtual machines, your storage, compute, and network related analytics, SQL databases, cognitive services, your artificial intelligence, machine learning, speech recognition services, bot services, lot of things that you can go and do it, including Internet of Things, which is the latest technology. Even you can do the RPA, robotic process automation. Lot of things that you can do on cloud. So whenever you do these things, you don't touch anything physically. Why? Because it's all you're doing in a virtual environment using a graphical user interface called AWS Management Console. Everything that you perform using a portal. There is an address called aws.amazon.com, which is a management console. You log in, you sign up, and you log in, and you deploy everything using the portal itself. So this is super easy, right? So let's move on. Let's learn about public cloud first. Guys, anybody wanted to have a talk with me so that we can talk from a day-to-day life example before we move on to the official thing of public cloud? Anybody wanted to have a talk? Any volunteer who wanted to have a talk with me? Guys, you can unmute yourself. Let's have an interactive session. That's how we learn.
Yeah,
If I
sir,
have
this
to
is Rahul.
talk, I'll always talk. But hello.
Yeah, sir, this is Rahul.
Yeah, thanks. Let's go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
So where are you from? May I know your location?
Yeah, I'm from Vijayawada, sir.
Rahul, may I know your location?
Yeah, I am from Vijayawada, sir. Hello.
No.
Hello,
Yeah,
sir. I
Rahul,
am from. Yeah, I am from Vijayawada.
Vijayawada. Okay. So let's assume you might be staying at a place correct now, and you
Yeah,
wanted to travel from your home to, let's assume, Vijayawada airport, or let's
yeah,
assume Vijayawada railway station.
okay,
Okay, for airport obviously you definitely have to take a cab, right?
yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah, sir.
let's assume you wanted to go to Vijayawada railway station. Okay, so it's the time is now, let's assume 11 o'clock, correct? So you
Yeah,
have a
sir.
train to catch at 12 o'clock, Rahul.
Yeah,
Okay, so may I know, in order to travel from your home to Vijayawada railway station, may I know what are the mediums of transport that you have, which you can use
yeah,
to travel?
yeah. I can go by my bike or my vehicle, whichever I'm having, and other way is to I can go by bus, and I can go by some private travels like auto, cab, and some other like that.
Mhm. Very good. So let's say you wanted to travel with a low cost, which one you go with?
Go by bus.
Yes, so you have your public transportation, the APSRTC, Andhra
Yeah,
Pradesh Road Transport is providing the buses, correct? So why?
yeah,
Because you get onto a bus at a bus, I mean, you get into the bus at the bus stop and you buy a
yes,
ticket. Probably it might be 10 rupees, 15 rupees, whatever it is, and you get down at the railway station, correct?
yeah. That's it.
So
That's
that
fine.
is the easiest method to go to a place using the public
Yes,
transportation. But
yeah,
Pawan, Rahul, so you got into a bus and you are obviously going to railway station. Why? Because you might have to travel from Vijayawada to, let's say, Hyderabad. Right.
yeah,
Obviously, you carry some luggage, right?
yeah, sir.
Yeah. You carry some luggage, you carry a mobile phone, you carry your wallet, and you travel, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
So whose responsibility is it from the security perspective? So who will have to take care of your mobile, your wallet, yourself, your luggage?
Obviously, that's my
It's
responsibility.
you. It's
Yeah,
you, your responsibility, right?
yeah,
You
sir.
have to take care of yourself, your responsibility, right? But
Yeah.
what is the role of a driver here, Rahul?
He have to at what some extent he have to take care of my journey and to reach me safe there.
Yes. So security is basically lying in the driver as well. Do you agree?
Yeah, yes, sir. I
So
agree.
security is also lying with the driver,
Yeah,
right?
yes, sir.
So what
Yes.
kind of security? The driver should be certified driver, correct?
Yeah, yes,
The
sir.
driver should be very well experienced, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's
Yes,
assume the driver is driving in a good direction with a good speed, which is expected speed. But what if from the opposite direction there is a car that is going out of control? So let's say the brake got failed. The
yes, sir.
car is coming opposite to your direction, right? What's your
Yes.
driver's responsibility here?
Yeah, it's obviously the responsibilities also lie on himself. He have to make sure that to avoid that car and make it over a
Yes,
safe.
he should basically take care of diverting the bus to not to
Yeah.
hit the bus, correct? The
Yes,
car should
yes, sir.
not hit the bus. So at times, in order to safeguard, I mean, driver's responsibility is to secure the passengers inside the bus. At the same
Yes, yes,
time, the driver's responsibility to take care of the property as well, the bus, without
yes,
having
yes.
any damages, correct? So you should
Yeah.
move with a smart move. So you should take a
Yeah.
diversion, but at the same time, you should drive in the same road. You should not go out of the control and hit a divider or
Yes,
hit
sir.
the
Yes.
folks who might be crossing in the zebra crossing or going on a passenger layout.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that is
sir.
the responsibility of a driver. Correct.
Yeah, sir.
So all in
Yes, yes, sir.
all, what is this? You are getting into it. You are buying a ticket with super cheap cost, and you are traveling from one place to another. You are saving time. You are saving cost or money, right? And you are traveling securely. Correct.
Yes, sir.
So what is
Yes.
public cloud now? Public cloud is being created by, is owned by the
Public.
cloud service vendor. Who is the cloud service vendor here? AWS, Amazon Web Services, right?
Okay.
So
Yes, sir.
where do you go ahead and access the public cloud?
The close.
You take
I
a
mean,
account and you can deploy in any of the data center, right? Where do you access the bus? Probably in a bus stop, correct?
yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
what it provides resources and services to multiple organizations and users. So the bus will provide services to you only, Rahul, or everybody else.
Yeah,
It is
everybody
open to
else.
public.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So even public cloud is open to all the public throughout the globe. There is no restriction. Any customer from any geography, from any location can go ahead and buy the subscription or the account or take the subscription free of cost, and they can get started with cloud journey by hosting their infrastructure in cloud, and they can host multiple environments. They can run the business with hassle free with super duper cheap cost comparative to on premises. So if you go to
Yes.
cloud, what happens? You're taking the servers on rent. So till the time that you need, you use the resources and you pay the rent. Once you are done, once you think that you don't need the resources, you delete them and you don't pay anything. So basically, if you move to cloud, you have to pay until you go ahead and use them. And once you don't need them, you delete them. And what are the bill that you will be getting at the end of the month, you pay and you are safe. You're not buying anything upfront by putting 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs rupees. So that's the biggest benefit of cloud that we have, right? So where we access the public cloud using a secured internet connectivity. Just the internet connectivity that we need to connect to the cloud. But for us, you have to go to a bus stop and you have to get in, you have to take a ticket and you have to get down at your destination. So this is all about public cloud, and at the same time, the security, it's responsibility of we from the customer perspective or user perspective, and it's cloud's responsibility, AWS responsibility as well to give us the security. Why? Because without security, I cannot move to cloud. Let's assume one of my friend is asking for some amount. Why? Because he's in need. Let's assume he's asking bulk amount like 2 lakhs. Hey Kranti, I am in need. I need 2 lakhs rupees for something, so I'll be returning after 1 month, and let me know what is the interest that I can pay. So my friend, so far I have lot of trust and confidence. I'm giving him 2 lakhs. But you know, once you give the amount, things will be changing always. Probably he might be telling that I'll be returning in 1 month, and whatever the interest that you may ask, I'll be able to give it. Probably the very first month, what he will tell, Kranti, I'm not able to cope up with the money, so I'll be paying the interest for the first month. I'll be clearing in the next month by paying the second month interest as well. Okay, what I will think, anyways, I've got the interest, so this month is done. So anyways, he's giving me assurance that he will be paying in the next month. So I'll be going with that. Anyways, I'm getting interest, so which I'm benefited out of it. But second month, what happens? He might not even pay interest, and he will be coming up with a lot of other struggles, stating that I have a lot of other challenges. So I could not able to arrange the money things, right? So what is happening? The loss, the trust I have lost, the confidence that I have lost, the confidence that I have lost now, right? So do you think I'll be able to give the same individual money again, even though he returned to me? I hesitated, correct? So in the same way, cloud will give you a lot of security, confidence, and trust. So you know, Fortune 500 companies in the world, right? We always use Fortune 500 top companies like Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, Oracle, a lot of other Deloitte, a lot of other companies that you talk about. So out of Fortune 500 companies, most of the companies are already in cloud, which means they're trusting it. They're trusting and they are hosting their data in the cloud. And they're thinking that cloud is actually giving a lot of security and confidence. So they're blindly going with it. So if I am a customer, if I have to start a startup, let's say I'm a college graduate and I have an idea, but I don't have a lot of money like 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, I don't have. But I have an idea which I wanted to convert into reality. So how startup will be starting? Your Zomato, how it has started, your Paytm, how is that started, Swiggy, how is that started? The startup has become reality and it has turned into a company, and you now seeing what is Paytm, Zomato, Swiggy, certain companies, right? So if I have an idea and if I don't have any money, I don't have to rely on anybody else. I'll just take a cloud account and I can deploy my infrastructure. I can run the business and I just have to pay for what I gone ahead and used it. That's it. I don't pay upfront cost like 1 lakh, 2 lakhs. It is not needed at all. So that's the evolution that we are into now. That's where people are feeling that it's a headache of managing the infrastructure which is there in the office. Why? Because the servers might get failed at any point of time. The servers might got corrupted, or in the on-premises the power might loss or internet connectivity might have mishappened. Anything can happen in on-premises, but if you go to cloud, it's like, I mean, AWS responsibility to give that assurance that it never goes down, the infrastructure never goes down. If in case it goes down, you can always set up a disaster recovery, you can always set up availability options. So we'll be looking into other concepts. So let's move on to private cloud. Huh? No, he did not ask anything. I told him to have a conversation with me. That's it. So let's discuss about private cloud. So anybody wanted to have a conversation with me? Any environment you can use. Dev, Pro, Test, any environment you can go ahead and use. Facebook is a software as a service. It's an application which was available over the browser. So we'll talk about Facebook things and stuff. Okay, let's hold for 5 more minutes. So anybody wanted to have a talk with me to discuss on the private cloud is? Anybody?
Excuse me, sir. This is Satya.
Yeah.
I have one
What's your
question.
name?
So basically, what my name is Satya.
Yeah, Satya.
So
Go ahead.
basically, what we'll do in the physical physical missions, what we'll do, we can access the system, we can store the data. If we want to install any application, any software, we can take the access and we can do. But
Yes.
coming to in the cloud, if we want to store the data, we can. This is only for to store that data, or we can take the access. If customer want to take the access of deployed server in the cloud, he can able to access it, and he can able to store the data only, or he can able to access and he can able to install whatever he wants.
We can do anything, whatever capabilities that we have in our local machines, everything can be done. Even extra things can be also done. There are certain additional features that we would be having, those also we would be able to do it. So
Uh,
once we
for
get into
example, if you take any organization, if they
Mhm.
want to install point of sale software, so they can able to do it in the cloud.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
So Satya, do you want to continue the conversation to discuss on private cloud?
Yeah. Please continue.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks. So let's talk about private cloud. So Satya, you have plans to buy a car today. Let's assume a Kia Seltos car. So it might cost around 14 lakhs or 15 lakhs, correct? So do you pay all the amount? If you have, you will be paying and you will be taking it, right? You will be making all the payment. Otherwise, you pay some down payment, like let's say you pay 6 lakhs and you go with finance for the rest of the amount, correct? But what is private cloud? You are again taking it upfront. So if you have to buy a product, you are paying the whole amount, or you are going with EMIs, or you are paying some down payment and you are going the other amount on a finance, and you will be clearing it on monthly basis, correct? So private cloud is like buying a car. So Satya, the car that you bought, who's that car? Who is accountable and responsible for the car?
So it's me only.
It's
Is
you
who is the
only.
customer? Yes.
Yes. Let's assume you roam for almost some initial kilometers. Let's say 5,000 kilometers you have roamed in the month, in the same month, within 1 month. What you have to do now, you have to give your car for maintenance, correct?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. Correct.
Whose responsibility is that to give for maintenance? It's your responsibility, correct? Nobody from outside will come you and tell you that, Satya, I think it's time for maintenance. So I'll be taking your car and I'll be getting it maintained. I'll be giving it back. Did anybody say that, or anybody do that? No, right? It's your responsibility. So what happens next? Let's say if you're traveling, you're on a vacation, you're going in your car with your family. There is something that got broke down. You don't know whether it is an engine or whether it is battery fault, but your car was stopped in the middle of the road. So whose responsibility is it to go ahead and fix it?
So that is my responsibility.
It's your responsibility, right? There is a flat tire. The engine is not working, or you did not give your car for maintenance for 1 year. What happens? Will you be able to start it, or will the engine work as expected? Will you get the same mileage? No. Who was the culprit here? It's we. Why? Because it's our car, right? So let's say you. I mean, this is not the word that I have to use, but unfortunately, you hit the car somewhere, and your car got damaged. So whose responsibility? It's our responsibility, right? So even private cloud is the same. So what we can do, we can set up our own infrastructure in our on-premises, in our company premises itself, by buying hardware, software. So we would be having a lot of security. Why? Because it's only we are using that infrastructure, not others. So Satya, will you be able to give lift to somebody nowadays?
Yes.
We are not
I
giving.
have one question.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I have one question. If customer wants to access the deployed server in the cloud, how they can access?
They access using IP addresses.
Okay.
So we will do
By
that.
the
We'll do the
okay.
practicals, right? You'll be able to understand how I will be able to access it. Okay. So
Okay, sir.
let's
You
say
can go with next step.
yeah.
Continue with the next step, sir. That's enough. Thank you.
So we will be you will be able to give lift to somebody a stranger. No,
Yep.
nowadays we are not giving it. Why? Because we don't know what they will be able to do to me or to my car. Correct? We are not supposed to give lift now. Correct? So what is private cloud? The infrastructure that we are owning in our on-premises, where we are not giving permissions. Yeah. Do you think once the infrastructure is set up, will you ask somebody, some other company individual to come and use our infrastructure? No. Why? Because it is our private cloud. The name itself says private. It's to Satya only or me only. So you don't entertain others to access your private cloud. You don't even give access to somebody. So in order to access private cloud, what is needed? Probably you need to have the access card. You might have to get into the server room by providing biometrics, or at times iris scan also has to be happen. There are a lot of check that happens. Then only you will be able to get into private your infrastructure. The other thing is you can even buy the server hardware from the cloud vendor AWS itself. So they will be giving certain specific hardware like 500 gigabytes of RAM or 50 virtual CPUs or 50 terabytes of storage. Even you can buy it in bulk, and you can do anything that you wanted to go ahead and do it. That is what private cloud. So who will create the private cloud? It's organizations create cloud environment in their data center, in their on-premises. Otherwise, they buy the infrastructure from the cloud itself with upfront cost, right? So organization, it's we responsible for whatever that is happening with our car. In the same way, they are responsible for maintaining the private cloud services. If you have to upgrade the server, it's your responsibility. If you have to patch the server, it's your responsibility. If your server got down, it's your responsibility, right? So it's your responsibility to take care of entire security, right? Then it does not provide access. It does not provide access to users outside of the organization. So we don't give lift to a stranger. That is what private cloud, if I have to say. So any questions before we move further to hybrid? Okay, I'll take it as a no. Let's move on to hybrid. So hybrid, the name itself says is a combination of both public and private. So you can decide where you wanted to host your applications. Do you want to host your application in public cloud, or do you want to host your applications in private cloud? It's up to us. We can go ahead and do that, right? So let's talk about an example. So anybody wanted to have a talk on discussing on hybrid cloud? Any volunteer? Any volunteer wanted to have a talk? Okay, let me talk about hybrid cloud. Yeah, but you need to be louder. Okay, so we have one volunteer from the classroom, guys. So may I know what is ICICIbank.com? What is ICICIbank.com? What can you do with that? It's a domain name where you can access using a browser when you have an internet connection. Correct? So whenever you, I mean, is it only restricted to the folks who have ICICI Bank account holders, or anybody can access? Anybody can access, correct? Anybody can access from the world. It's not only restricted to India people, correct? So what I can do if I have internet access, if I have laptop or if I have mobile, I'll be typing icicibank.com in a browser and I'll be able to open ICICI Bank website, correct? But only authorized individuals who have the accounts, they're only able to get into internet banking, correct? So let's say I'm an account holder of ICICI Bank. I'll log into the internet banking and I'll give my username and password. I'll be getting into it, correct? So what is this? ICICI Bank might have posted in a public cloud so that it is available to everybody, right? Now I logged into my internet banking. Let's say I am a member since 3 years for ICICI Bank. I have an account since 3 years. Let's say now I logged into ICICI Bank and I wanted to pull the statement of last 3 months. So what can I do? I log in, I go to statements, I have options there to select from date range, from which date to which date, or you have a radio button to pull the statement for the last quarter, or you can go with last 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. So I select that and I'll hit go. What will happen? The statement will be pulled and it will be showing on the screen. Correct? I'll be able to see it. From where the statement is coming? From a database. From a database which was present in ICICI Bank. Correct? So I logged into my ICICI Bank account. Let's say what is a good name? Praveen. Even you have an account, let's assume. Will I be able to pull your statement in my account? No. Why? Why? Because I have authorized with my credentials, my user ID password. So I cannot pull other customers' details. But why I'm able to access the ICICI Bank SQL database? Why? Because I have proven that I have a genuine account. I logged in. And when I hit the statement, how it is happening, it is going to ICICI Bank's database in the backend, which was hosted in private cloud. Since I already authorized, the statement will be pulled from the database and it will be showing on my screen. So if I am the customer, I will be only able to access my statement. I cannot access other customer statement. So if you log in, again, you are authorizing to get into private cloud where the database was saved in ICICI Bank and you will be getting the details and be showing it, right? Which means ICICIbank.com website is hosted in public cloud, which is available to everybody, right? There is no restriction, right? Everybody can access it, they have internet. But only the authorized folks would be able to log in, would be able to pull the statement from the database which was hosted in private cloud. So let's take Flipkart.com as an example. Let's say I'm a member for Flipkart since 2010. Okay. So I can see the history from 2010, my order details, everything. So let's say I logged into Flipkart, right? So I can see my history. Will I be able to see your history? No. So where was the history saved? In a database in the backend? Correct? Correct. Let's say I ordered a product day before yesterday in Flipkart. Let's assume I ordered a mobile phone day before yesterday. So when I ordered day before yesterday, which is Saturday, they say that the delivery would happen on Sunday itself. Yesterday the delivery should happen. But due to work, I did not concentrate on that. But today I recollected that my mobile phone should be delivered from Flipkart yesterday itself. But when I see Flipkart portal, my shipping history, it says the product was not yet shipped. So yesterday it should be delivered, but today it did not happen. I'll be frustrated, correct? Why? Because the expectation of the customer is not met. I'll be always frustrated. So when I see the product is not yet shipped, which means even though if they ship the product today, I might be getting tomorrow or day after tomorrow, which is again a 3-day delay. Correct? So what I will do, I'll call Flipkart customer care. I'll call the Flipkart customer care. Yeah. So I'll call the Flipkart customer care. Whenever I call them, straight away tell that, hey Kranti, how are you? What can I do for you? Why? How come they know the name? Why? Because I called from the registered mobile number. Correct? So I am telling them the story that I ordered a mobile on Saturday, but it was not delivered. So they will tell that, sir, can we put on hold for a minute to check the details? They will be verifying their database. Do I have access to the database? But Flipkart executives would be having access to the database which was hosted in their private cloud, and they can access not only my data but every Flipkart customer data. But I'm not able to access it. Why? Why? Because they are authorized for access every customer data, but not me. So they will tell, stating that, sir, we can see that you have ordered the product on Saturday. It should supposed to be delivered on Sunday, but it was not happened. We apologize for the delay. So we can see that when you ordered the product, the stock was there, but the stock was already given to some other customers. Now we are running out of the stock. So what we can do is probably today the stock will come and we will dispatch it on priority. Otherwise, let me know if you need a refund. This is how things happen. Correct? So what is the conclusion here? The portal, the website that is hosted in public cloud, which can access by everybody, but the database which was hosted in private cloud only be accessible by the authorized users. This is hybrid cloud. So customers can decide where they wanted to host their website or their infrastructure. Is it in public cloud, private, or they can go with the hybrid environment. Now most of the customers are going with hybrid. So who will go with hybrid environment? Banking customers. Banking customers will go with an hybrid environment. Why? Because they have data which is super confidential. Correct? Banking customers cannot expose my data to somebody. Agree? So you might have heard 4 to 5 years back, Facebook might have compromised on data and it has leaked the data. Somebody from US, America has filed a case. If you guys are able to recollect. So Facebook has penalized and Facebook has paid a lot of penalty to the customer. Even why TikTok has been banned in India? They have compromised on data. That's where Indian government has banned it. This is what the things happens if you don't know where to host, and if you're compromising on security and data, the breach will happen. The customer data breach will happen. That's where choosing the deployment model, public, private, and hybrid, is very much important before any customer tried to move from on-premises to cloud, or they wanted to set up their infrastructure in cloud itself. So any questions before we move further? Any questions? Okay, I'll take it as a no. Let's do a comparison. Yeah. Okay. You cannot do that. You created your own cloud, okay? Okay. Which means you bought the server hardware. Okay. Okay. No, you cannot do that. Private is private only, right? So if you are trying to make it public, let's go with public cloud only, which is available to everybody. GoDaddy is again a hosting. So it's a publicly available. So it's not restricted to me only, right? Every customer. Okay. That is publicly available website. On your own, you don't rely on some other. So for that, the other solution that I told you is, one thing is you yourself buy the server hardware and this is your company, and so you set it up here itself, and you don't give access to anybody except your customers or your organization. That is one way. The other way is you go to AWS, you tell them that I need 500 terabytes of hard disk, I need, let's say, 500 gigabytes of RAM, and you tell I need, let's say, 300 virtual CPUs. They will be giving you a dedicated server from their data center. So what you can do, you can use that for you, and you cannot share it to public. Why? Because that is private to you. So what I mean, how does it is making correlation if you are taking the public, a private server, and if you wanted to make it public, let's go with public only, right? Yeah, they will be. Mhm. You can, but what is making sense here is you are creating security here. You are creating users. You are creating groups. So you are giving only permission to them. Even in public cloud, I can restrict users. Mhm. Okay. Mhm. careerit.in .co. Okay. Sorry, I missed actually. Okay, you basically created an email account. Okay, like Gmail. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that we call it as you are buying the server hardware from a publicly available, from a shared hosting. This is public only. But what is the thing? The catch here is we are putting security. We are not allowing others to access my email ID. Let's say I'm creating a Gmail ID. Gmail is what? Gmail is a software as a service. What I need, I just need a laptop or a mobile. I just need a browser internet connectivity. I go with gmail.com. If I have credentials, I will be logging in. I'll be sending emails, receiving emails. I'll be sending attachments, or I'll open Google Drive. I'll share the big files, right? So what is this? This is software as a service. But in order to secure your account, let's say if you know about my password, will you be able to log in? No. Why? No, I can say you cannot. Why? Because I might have put multi-factor authentication. Let's say even though you know password, if you enter the password, you have to go with the phone code or a call. That's the security that we are in. I mean, going with. In public also, you can go ahead and implement security. In private, there is more security. The customers will decide which one they wanted to go with. If they are okay to bone the private cloud costs, they will still go with it. Why? Because they don't want to compromise on the security. But people like, I mean, the medium scale companies, small scale, they always go with public only. Even they host their websites, they host their databases on public, but they will implement a standard security over there. So that, yeah, the multi-factor authentication by an OTP or a call, or getting a OTP to the other email ID. Yeah, everything that you can do it. What is Aadhaar? The same thing, right? So if I have to do any changes or access download, or if I have to authenticate with a banking website, or if I have to file income tax returns, I have to go with Aadhaar authentication. If even though I know the credentials, it will give a OTP, right? Yeah. Now you might have got the question. What is public? But still you might not be able to get into. Nowadays everybody is implementing multi-factor authentication. So not card. Even though let me log into, I mean, I have an S Bank account. Even though I give username and password, it will still send me a mobile number OTP. So banking customers are implementing multi-factor at the initial login only to provide more security. But ICICI Bank doesn't have. Even I have an ICICI Bank account, it doesn't have. But whenever you try to do a transaction, it will ask the grid details, the grid details of the credit card. I mean, or OTP. Yeah, I believe now the thing is cleared, right? Sure. Yeah. So let's do a comparison, guys. So we have already spoken about each and everything in detail. This are from the documentation. So public cloud, as I said, no capital expenditure that is needed. Why? Because we use the services from cloud and we pay once we get the bill. It's just like electricity bill. How do you get electricity bill? You consume certain units and you will be getting bill. Will you be getting more bill? No, right? Whatever the units that you use, you have to pay. On the other side, You have gone for a vacation for 1 month. You did not there in your home, but you still get a bill. Why? The minimum service charges we have to still pay of 50 or 60 rupees. But in cloud, if you don't use your resources, you don't pay anything. That's the beauty, right? Applications can be quickly provisioned and deprovisioned. So you can have the infrastructure set up on demand. If I need it right away, I can create in the next minute. But will you be able to buy the laptop in the same way? No. Will you be able to buy the mobile just like that? No. So we'll do a real-time practical bit. You will be able to understand what I'm saying. Why in 1 minute I was able to deploy the resource, you will be able to understand. Then organizations pay for what they use. It's not just organization. You can use, I mean, as an individual, I will be having accounts, even I will be setting up my infrastructure for some practicals from labs. Even I can go ahead and do that. Why? Because I cannot buy one more laptop and set up. Why? Because laptop I have to pay minimum 45,000 nowadays if I have to go with i3 processor also. So I cannot afford upfront cost of 40 or 45,000. Right? So that's where I go ahead and rely on cloud only nowadays. Right? Then what is private cloud? Hardware must be purchased. Hardware must be purchased for startup and maintenance. Physical hardware you have to purchase with upfront cost. Right? So it is not cheaper. It is so costly. But you have a lot of security, guys. So organizations have complete control over the resources and security, right? Organizations are responsible. So your car, if some damage happens, if car is not starting, your responsibility is yours. Nobody from outside will come and fix it, right? Hybrid cloud, it provides flexibility to choose between either public or private. It's up to the organizations to go with it, right? And you have again complete control, security, regulations, compliance related things, everything you can go ahead and follow, right? So these are the comparisons that we have. Let's go ahead and look at the benefits and considerations, right? So let's talk about high availability first. Let's assume I have flipkart.com, okay, which was hosted in Mumbai data center. Let's say Flipkart is in cloud, is in AWS, guys, to be very open. Flipkart is already in cloud and it is using AWS. So let's assume Flipkart has hosted flipkart.com website in Mumbai data center. So we have AWS data centers in Mumbai, and in Hyderabad it is coming up now. Okay, let's assume Flipkart has been hosted in Mumbai data center. If Mumbai data center is down, will I be able to access Flipkart.com? How? No, my scenario is I hosted in Mumbai only. This is my requirement. Let's go. Don't go beyond. We'll talk about the beyond things now. Right? If Flipkart Mumbai data center is down due to any reason, power failure, network failure, the wherever the Flipkart.com was hosted in Mumbai data center, the server itself got crashed. So I won't be able to access Flipkart. It's not only me. Everybody from the world won't be able to access Flipkart.com, which means Flipkart.com is down. So if this is the case, what is for Flipkart? There is a huge revenue loss. Why? Because customers like us won't be able to order anything, proceed towards payments, right? So for Flipkart, it's downtime. It will hit on reputation. So what customers like us will do? We'll go to Amazon.in, correct? That is what we do. Or we go with Myntra or Bajaj Electronics, Reliance Digital, Chrome, a lot of other websites that we have, right? So what Flipkart has to do? Not only in Mumbai, but they have to come up with backup and disaster recovery setting. Probably instead of, I mean, Mumbai would be their primary. Secondary, they might have in US or UK or in Australia or in South America or in your Arab countries. Anywhere you can go ahead and set up your backup as disaster recovery site. So that even in case Mumbai data center gets failed, from other data center, Flipkart would be up and running. So that is what high availability. So you cannot implement this in on-premises. Even though you can implement it, it is with a lot of cost. Why? Because you have to first buy the server hardware. Then only you use the virtualization software, techniques, tools, and set up the disaster recovery site. But you have to buy huge server hardware that will cost you in crores of rupees. Instead, go to cloud, and it's just a click away from the drop down. You have to select the secondary region and you save it. It's done. Secondary data center is created. It is so simple, guys, but in on-premises it is so hard. You have scalability. So as I said, If Flipkart.com was hosted on a server configuration of 8 CPUs and 32 gigabytes of RAM, how many users can access Flipkart? Let's assume 100 users. If 101 user is accessing, let's talk about IRCTC website. We know about it. 4 to 5 years back, will you be able to book a premium Tatkal ticket at 10 o'clock? So what we do, we are smart, right? We are 9:30, we log in. We'll do some activity inside it. Before 10 hits, we'll select the train, we'll start refreshing it, correct? Once the 10 o'clock takes, if you refresh it, the ticket number, I mean, sleeper numbers would be looking, you'll be able to see, and the hyperlink would be enabled. If you click on that, what happens? The page cannot be displayed. Why? Why? Because it's an unusual traffic. Customers, a lot of customers would be accessing at the same time, and unfortunately, the servers in the background are not capable enough to serve that request. That's the reason why those are failing. But nowadays, we are able to create hassle-free. So I don't want to talk about a company who maintains it, but they have learned a lesson and they have added a lot of servers now in the backend. So at 10 o'clock, 10:30, even though I log in, it will be able to log in and I was successfully able to book tickets if the tickets were there. That is what they have implemented. So when the user traffic is increasing, it's a Flipkart.com. As of now, there is no sale. The usual traffic. But on 6th of August, there is a sale that is going on, correct? Do you see the same number of customers who are accessing Flipkart on the same day? Huge number. So obviously, Flipkart need to maintain the backend server hardware accordingly, correct? So that is what your scalability. So we can scale up or down the infrastructure. You can increase the cores, you can increase the RAM, you can increase the storage space at any point of time whenever you need it. That will automatically happen. Yes, we are not supposed to do anything, right? Then you have global reach. So AWS data centers having global presence. Every region that you take, you have a AWS data center. So if customer is from US, they can set up the infrastructure in the nearby data centers, right? The disaster recovery, I just spoke about it. Fault tolerance. The AWS data centers can withstand to server hardware failures. So they will be able to send your website or host your website into a healthy node or server as well, if in case there is a failure that happens. So it can withstand to server hardware failures, which is your fault tolerance. Fault is what? Failure. Tolerance is it can even tolerate to any failure, right? So elasticity is also the same component. Then you have customer latency. So if you move to cloud, you will get super duper internet. We'll do certain speed tests and we'll see as well as to what is the speed that you will be getting inside the virtual machine or an instance. So you can predict the cost as well. The beautiful thing is if you wanted to move to cloud, you will be able to know how much you have to pay at the end of the month once you get the invoice from AWS. So you can predict the cost as to, okay, once this month is done, I should be able to pay 1,500 rupees or 3,000 or 1 lakh rupees. You can predict that cost and you can manage the infrastructure, right? Then security. So we spoke about things from security a lot. So these are all the things that are from the benefits perspective base. So let me talk about Capex and Opex and we'll be winding up of the day today. So what is Capex? Capex is mostly focusing on on-premises infrastructure. Let's say if I want to buy a flat in Hyderabad. So nowadays the flat rates have gone high. Probably the minimum is 60 lakhs. So if I have to buy a flat, obviously I have to go with some down payment, then only I can go with loan. Or if I have money, I'll be going and with 60 lakhs upfront, right? So what is Capex? It's a capital expenditure. So if I wanted to start a business, let's say a sweet shop I wanted to start, do you think somebody will give me money on interest? Probably they might give me, but I have to set up the shop with upfront cost, correct? Let's say it is costing me 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs, I need to have the capital investment with me. Let's say if I want to invest in real estate, will I be able to do that with 0 rupees? No, I have to go ahead and invest with some money. Then only I can rotate and I can get something. So your on-premises is nothing but your capital expenditure. What is the operational expenditure, OPEX? It's your cloud. If you move to cloud, you are just concentrating on the day-to-day expenditure that you are going to incur. That's it. Let's say I bought a flat, let's assume with 40 lakhs. I have shifted from my rented house to the apartment with my family. So in order to live on daily basis, what I need to have a shelter. I have shelter. I need to have clothing. I need to have food, groceries, correct? Education for the kids. So in order to run daily basis my family, what I need? Those are what operation cost, right? Your electricity bill is an operation cost. Your groceries is an operation cost. The day-to-day spendings that you have to spend in order to live the life, we need to concentrate on our operational expenditure. So cloud is your operational expenditure only. You don't pay upfront cost. You use the resources, you get a bill, you pay it after that. That's it. This is the difference between capex and opex. So that's pretty much for the day. So we will concentrate on the rest of the things tomorrow, the cloud services. So any questions so far? Any questions from anybody? So Satya is asking a question as to, can you tell me in a single line about public, private and hybrid? So public cloud is, it is available to anybody in the world. No restrictions. Private is, it is costly. Private is available to only to not certain dedicated customers. I can say if you have money, you can go ahead and buy the private cloud. That's not a problem. But it is with super cost. You will get a lot of security, right? So your car you're owning, you know, if something happens, it's your responsibility, right? Hybrid is, it's a combination of both public and private. I already told you about an example of ICICI Bank and the database, or Flipkart and the database. So in simpler terms, these are the cloud deployment models that we have. Satya, I think it's answered. So any other questions, guys, before we call out for the day? So we'll be syncing at the same time tomorrow. Any questions from anybody? So this is how the classes would gonna be. I'll always talk about a day-to-day example so that people can correlate. I believe with these kind of examples, you guys might be able to understand. So if I just talk about the official, people won't be able to understand. Why? Because people might have come from different backgrounds. So we might have freshers, we might have people from non-technical, we might have people from IT professional itself, but they might be from a other background. They might not be knowing about cloud computing or DevOps. So it's all about very good to start from a scratch. So this is how my classes is gonna be. So any questions, guys, before we call out for a day?
No, sir.
Yeah. So thank you, guys. Let's meet tomorrow, same time. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.